The soft chime of the wedding bells still echoed in Priya's ears as she stepped into her new home, a grand, traditional house that stood as a testament to generations of the Mehra family. The house was massive, with intricately carved wooden doors and windows adorned with colorful glass panels. The air smelled faintly of incense and freshly cut marigolds, remnants of the wedding festivities. Priya, a 28-year-old software engineer with a sharp mind and an even sharper wit, had been excited to start this new chapter in her life. She had fallen in love with Rohan Mehra, her husband, during a college project where they bonded over coding and coffee. Their relationship had been a whirlwind, filled with late-night discussions about artificial intelligence and dreams of changing the world. But as she stood at the entrance of the Mehra household, Priya felt a creeping sense of unease. It wasn't just the overwhelming opulence of the house or the imposing family portrait that stared down at her from the wall, it was the way Rohan's father, Mr. Rajesh Mehra, had looked at her during the wedding, a look that was neither welcoming nor warm. "Welcome, Priya," Rajesh Mehra's voice boomed as he approached her with a stiff smile. He was a tall man, in his late 50s, with a neatly trimmed mustache and an air of authority that filled the room. "You've made our Rohan very happy." Priya returned the smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Thank you, uncle." "I mean, Dad," she corrected herself awkwardly. The word felt foreign on her tongue. "Come," he said, turning briskly and leading her into the living room where the rest of the family awaited. Priya followed, her heart beating a little faster. Rohan's mother, Savita Mehra, sat on the sofa, her sari impeccably draped, her eyes gentle but tired. Priya had met her a few times before and had always found her to be kind, though she seemed to carry a weight on her shoulders, as if burdened by the expectations of being the matriarch of such a distinguished family. Rohan was standing by the window, talking quietly to his younger sister, Neha, a free-spirited woman in her early 20s who had chosen to study fashion design, much to her father's chagrin. When Rohan saw Priya enter, his face lit up with a smile that instantly put her at ease. "There you are," Rohan said, crossing the room to take her hand. "Ready to meet the family officially?" Rajesh Mehra clapped his hands once, drawing everyone's attention. "Now that our new daughter-in-law is here, let's begin the rituals." His tone was brisk, businesslike, as if welcoming a new member into the family was a mere formality. As the rituals began, Priya noticed the subtle ways in which her new role was being defined. When she bent down to touch her father-in-law's feet, a customary gesture of respect, he placed his hand on her head a moment longer than necessary, almost as if to remind her of her place. It was a gesture laden with authority, not affection. Later, as the evening wound down and the family gathered for dinner, Priya found herself in the kitchen with Savita Mehra. She had offered to help, wanting to make a good impression. But as she reached for the serving spoons, her mother-in-law gently stopped her. "You don't have to do this, Priya, you're the new bride. Today is your day to be pampered." Priya smiled appreciatively, but before she could respond, Rajesh Mehra entered the kitchen. "Actually, Savita, I think it's good that Priya is eager to help. After all, she's part of this family now. It's important for her to understand how things work around here." Savita's eyes flickered with unease, but she didn't argue. Priya felt a cold knot forming in her stomach. She had spent years building a career, becoming independent, and now, in a single day, she was being reduced to a role that felt suffocating. The dinner table was set with an array of dishes, each one more elaborate than the last. As the family took their seats, Priya noticed that the seat next to Rajesh Mehra was left empty, clearly meant for her. She hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the family's expectations pressing down on her. "Priya, why don't you serve the food?" Rajesh said, his tone making it clear that this was not a suggestion. Priya glanced at Rohan, hoping for some sign of support, but he was engaged in a light-hearted conversation with Neha, completely unaware of the dynamics at play. Swallowing her discomfort, Priya rose to her feet and began serving the food, starting with her father-in-law. As she ladled the curry onto his plate, Rajesh Mehra looked up at her with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You'll make a good daughter-in-law, Priya," he said, "as long as you remember your place." Before Priya could respond, Savita Mehra spoke up. "Priya has many talents. She's not just a wife and daughter-in-law, she's also a brilliant engineer. We're lucky to have her in our family." There was a flicker of annoyance in Rajesh Mehra's eyes, but he quickly masked it with a tight-lipped smile. "Of course, but family comes first." In the days that followed, Priya found herself slipping further into the role that had been set out for her. Her mornings were spent in the kitchen, preparing meals under her father-in-law's watchful eye, while her evenings were filled with household chores. Rohan, oblivious to the brewing storm, was consumed by his work, leaving Priya to fend for herself in a house where her worth was measured by her ability to serve. Priya began to observe. She watched how the household functioned, how her father-in-law controlled every aspect of the family's life, and how her mother-in-law and sister-in-law maneuvered within the confines of his authority. She listened to the conversations that revealed the family's dynamics and slowly began to formulate a plan. Her opportunity came one afternoon, when she overheard a conversation between Rajesh Mehra and a family friend. The friend was lamenting the inefficiency of his business operations, and Priya, ever the problem solver, saw a way to prove her worth. "Uncle," she said, stepping into the room with a confidence that surprised even herself. "I couldn't help but overhear. I think I might have a solution to the issue you're facing." Rajesh Mehra looked at her, his expression unreadable. "And what would that be?" "I have experience with streamlining processes," Priya began, explaining her ideas in a clear, concise manner. She spoke with the authority of someone who knew her subject well, and as she did, she saw a flicker of surprise in her father-in-law's eyes. When she finished, there was a moment of silence. Rajesh Mehra regarded her carefully. Weeks turned into months, instead of acknowledging
and the
her
Mehra
contribution,
household settled
he
into
simply
a rhythm,
nodded, one that Priya navigated
and in the shadows
with
of the
both
Mehra
caution and
household,
determination. Unseen by those who underestimated
day,
her,
she awoke
Priya's
early,
hidden strength
her mind
began
focused
to
on the
emerge. Tasks ahead, both the visible ones that her father-in-law monitored closely and the invisible strategies she crafted in her mind. Priya approached her duties with a quiet resolve, never once shirking the responsibilities he imposed on her. She took it upon herself to assist in the kitchen, to clean the house, and to serve the family with a grace that made her mother-in-law, Savita, and sister-in-law, Neha, both proud and uneasy. "Priya, you really don't have to do all this," Savita would say, her voice tinged with concern as she watched Priya prepare the evening tea. "You're the new bride. You should be enjoying your time with Rohan, not worrying about chores." "I don't mind, Ma," Priya would reply with a warm smile. "We're all family, and I want to do my part. Besides, it lightens the workload for everyone." Neha, too, would often try to dissuade her. "Priya, you should be out exploring the city with Biya, not stuck here with us. You're too smart to be doing housework all day." But Priya would only laugh softly. "There's plenty of time for that, Neha. And this way, we can all spend more time together." One afternoon, Priya answered the door to find Rohan's father's friend, Mr. Kapoor, standing at the entrance. He was a jovial man in his late 60s, with a warm smile. "Ah, Priya. Just the person I was hoping to see," Mr. Kapoor said as soon as he spotted her. "Mr. Kapoor, it's good to see you. How can I help you?" "Help me?" Mr. Kapoor chuckled. "My dear, you've already done more than you know. I've come to thank you." "Thank me, for what?" "Your advice," Mr. Kapoor said, his voice filled with gratitude. "A few months ago, you mentioned some ideas to improve efficiency in my company. Well, I took those ideas and ran with them. And let me tell you, the results have been incredible. Our operations have never run smoother, and our profits have increased significantly." Priya felt a mix of surprise and relief. She had almost forgotten about that brief conversation, not expecting anything to come of it. "I'm so glad to hear that, Mr. Kapoor," Priya said sincerely. But it was just a suggestion. Nonsense. Mr. Kapoor interrupted, waving away her modesty. Your suggestions were spot on. In fact, my partners and I were so impressed that we'd like to hire you as a consultant to help us further streamline our operations. You have a gift, Priya, and we'd be fools not to take advantage of it. Before Priya could respond, Rajesh Mehra entered the room, his expression curious. What's this about hiring Priya? Mr. Kapoor turned to his old friend with a broad smile. Rajesh, you should be proud. Your daughter-in-law is a genius. Thanks to her advice, my business is thriving. I've been telling everyone about her, how she's not only a wonderful daughter-in-law but also a brilliant mind. I'm here to offer her a consulting position. For a moment, the room was silent. Rajesh Mehra's face was a mask of conflicting emotions, pride, surprise, and perhaps a touch of jealousy. He had always believed that the role of a daughter-in-law was to serve the family, yet here was his old friend singing Priya's praises for her professional acumen. That's quite unexpected. Mr. Kapoor clapped him on the back, oblivious to the tension. Unexpected, perhaps, but well-deserved. You've brought a gem into your family, Rajesh. Priya is going to raise the Mehra name even higher. As the news of Priya's success spread, other business associates began to reach out to her, seeking her expertise. Priya found herself in the unanticipated role of a consultant, balancing her duties at home with the demands of her growing reputation in the business world. She was careful, however, to maintain her humility, never once boasting of her achievements, even as her father-in-law's friends lavished praise upon her. At home, Priya continued to fulfill her household responsibilities with the same dedication. She didn't let the accolades change her demeanor or her approach to family life. Savita and Neha noticed the shift in Rajesh Mehra's attitude. He began to observe Priya more closely, his once critical gaze now mixed with reluctant admiration. The turning point came one evening at a family gathering. Several of Rajesh Mehra's friends and colleagues were present, and the conversation inevitably turned to business. Rajesh, one of the guests said, raising his glass, you're a lucky man. Your daughter-in-law is making waves in the business community. I've heard nothing but praise for her. It seems you've not only gained a new family member but also a valuable asset. Rajesh Mehra, who had always taken pride in his own accomplishments, found himself in an unfamiliar position, one where the success of his family was attributed to someone other than himself. But as he looked at Priya, who was busy attending to the guests with her usual grace and kindness, he realized something profound. Her success didn't diminish his, it elevated the entire family. For the first time, he saw Priya not as an outsider or a subordinate but as an integral part of the Mehra family. Her intelligence, kindness, and humility had brought honor to their name, and it was only right that she be recognized for it. As the evening drew to a close, Rajesh Mehra approached Priya. His voice, once stern and authoritative, was now softened by a newfound respect. Priya, he began, and she turned to him, surprised by the unfamiliar tone. I've been observing you these past months. You've proven yourself to be more than I ever expected. Not just as a daughter-in-law, but as a person. You've brought pride to this family, and for that, I owe you my gratitude. Priya looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity in his words. It was a small victory, but a significant one. If you enjoyed the story of Priya's journey in The Hidden Strength, and want to see more empowering narratives, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us bring you more inspiring stories, so thank you for watching.